Oh, we are recording.
Hi.
I don't know what week it is. It's the last one. That's what week it is.
It is the last Wednesday of the year.
Yay. That's how I feel about it too. I'm wondering where the month went.
I'm wondering where the entire last quarter went, frankly.
Oh, yeah. Some of mine went to moving.
Well, yeah.
So we're going to do a recap. But first, we have a fun thing to talk about.
Yeah.
And I have to find it so I can read it. Someone posted your Cash App or PayPal. Maybe someone will send you a Christmas gift. You never know. And then put their Cash App.
Now, was this in a group or on their Facebook page?
It was on their Facebook timeline.
Okay.
Yeah. And I had some unresolved weirdness around it, which is funny because I've done that. Like, I've been that person.
Mm-hmm.
And I've participated in those things. So it's weird that it made me uncomfortable.
Yeah, say more about the
I can't
uncomfort.
help with that yet, but I'm always learning.
Alexa has feelings about our conversation too, or whoever she is inside the Honey's Bluetooth speaker.
So creepy to me. But anyway, that's a different topic. I don't want somebody answering me like that with every single thing I ask, because that would weird me out.
Right. I was like, and she's so random.
Yeah, mind your own business. We weren't talking to you.
You were not talking to you. I don't even know her name. He was like, I didn't set the speaker up to do that. I was like, well.
Well, guess what? Nosy Nellie's over there, not minding her own business. So say a little bit more about the uncomfortableness that came up for you with this. In what way were you uncomfortable?
Slightly annoyed. I don't know why.
Okay.
Because like I said, I've done the thing. I've participated in these in the infinite receiving like public group. I've participated in those. But I'm seeing them more and I don't know. I don't know what it is that's grating me about it. But I thought that was really funny.
So if you did know what was
to
you, what would it be?
When your friends are coaches and you're like,
damn it, I didn't want to answer this.
I don't want to know. I just want to be irritated.
Oh, well, that could be a whole thing.
That could be a whole thing. It certainly could be with me. The only actual thought that's happening is there's a sort of an unconscious component to it. Yeah, that's all that forms a thought in my head.
Okay.
And that doesn't really make logical sense to me.
So when you posed to me, hey, could this be our topic? When I read it, I thought, oh, hell to the yeah. Because like you said, I've participated in them when I've seen them in the Infinite Receiving group. I even have seen some of the people who are in that group, who I'm also friends with, do it on their wall. And I participated, both in the giving and in the receiving side. You and I've talked about that. We've both done it as a way to, okay, I'm going to get over this asking crap, and I'm just going to put it out there. See what happens. Who knows? And it's not bothered me when I've seen it. When you sent me that one, it was like,
yeah.
So for me, what I recognize as you're talking some of that out is with that unconsciousness, for me, the way that person phrased it fell short.
Okay.
there was nothing. And I think for me, this is part of what I love about the infinite receiving community. It's like, who can we bless? Who can we send this forward to? And maybe you're also somebody who could use a blessing. So post yours. There's that consciousness of thought. There's that, how can we expand our asking and our receiving? How can we, the way it was worded, the one that you texted me, it felt just like, not that there's anything wrong with somebody just asking for money, because if that's what you need, that's what you need.
Yeah.
It didn't feel like there was much thought in it, though. It was just like, oh, hey, put your cash app.
Yeah. And that's how I'm seeing it. Like, that was not the first time I saw it.
Yeah.
So that's why I was like, why is this making me do this?
Well, and so that's it is a great thing to look at. Why does it? If I had seen that, I would have completely blown it off and never participated. I wouldn't have sent the person anything. I wouldn't have sent anybody who posted below them anything. I would have blown it off. Because for me, and I realize this is judgment. So folks, I'm recognizing there's judgment I have with it. There's not a mindfulness to it. There's not a connectedness to it in my perception. It's just a, hey, put your cash app. Who knows? Maybe somebody will give you some money.
Yeah.
Rather than the framework of, it's a blessing. Well, so I need more fancy words?
What do you do? You need fancy words.
To bless somebody? Really?
For me, there's definitely judgment. The interesting point of view is that it's not okay to just ask for money. There has to be a reason behind it. Oh gosh. And I'm 3 again. Because if not, I'm gonna get in trouble. But yeah, so there's the tithing thing that's still low-key uncomfortable. No matter how much it is, I'm like, if it's over $100, I'm all like, are you sure? I mean, I know we keep going through this, but are you sure? And I have no problem with, I ran into someone who had to work on Christmas and she was just annoyed about it, which, hello. And it was completely out of her typical mood. When I usually see her, she's just a happy person in customer service. And so I dropped by a Christmas card on Christmas Day with a little bit of cash in it and a note. And she has been gushing all day about that it really did lift her spirits. But when it comes to like being on the receiving end of that, I am still learning how to be a gracious receiver. So part of it for me with these posts, when I see them, is releasing the judgment that there is anything wrong with the way that they are choosing to be receivers. Yeah.
And even for me, the judgment of how they're choosing to be askers.
Yeah. Right? Oh gosh, so interesting. I'm gonna tell the story that got me in trouble when I'm gonna leave out the names of the innocents, but I had a roommate, I had a bunch of them over that 4 years. I was couch surfing with 3 kids. And I'm listening to half of a conversation. The person on the other end of the phone, or the person on this end of the phone, is saying, I know, but I'm gonna see you tomorrow. I know, but I'm gonna see you tomorrow. Basically, I don't wanna see you tonight. I'm not coming to see you tonight. It's not happening. You can keep asking, but I'm gonna keep telling you no. And I had judgments about that. I looked at the person who was doing the asking because I knew this person before I witnessed that conversation go down. And I just thought I could never be that person. I could never beg somebody for their time. I could but I had been. I had been like a fake version of that person where I was asking without asking. I was not asking, I was being nasty. But what I really meant was spend time with me because you want to spend time with me after I've been nasty. Right. And as I was so I might have commented about the conversation on social media. In all fairness, I could have been walking past a couple on the street, on the sidewalk, or in McDonald's. I use no names or identifying factors. I literally said, watching someone beg her man to spend time with her. So glad that's not me anymore. No identifying factors.
Oh.
But she and I were Facebook friends.
Oh, yeah.
And she got 75 shades of bent out of shape behind it.
Yeah.
Sorry, get some therapy. Anyway. But there was, as I was unpacking it all, there was a little bit of, I kind of wish I could be that vulnerable and open and my requests, because I just, no, I wasn't at all. And I'm still really kind of not. With the honey, I'm willing to ask, but I'm willing to ask because for the most part, he says yes, or he considers me when he says no. It's not just like, nah, I'm full of shit. It's like, I can't because I can't now, but I'll do it later. That just doesn't work for me. I'm uncomfortable. Can we make you happy in some other capacity? So that makes me more willing to ask.
When you already know the answer is probably going to be some form of yes. That's what I heard, so I'm clarifying.
Yeah, when even if the answer is no, I know that you give a shit.
Mm-hmm.
It's not just no because I don't care about you, or because I care far more about me than I do about you.
And that right there's an interesting statement that would take us into a whole nother topic.
Let's talk about it after the call.
Might actually be a really good call in a different capacity to have. Because that bumps up against what we keep trying to teach people is to value themselves more. Value yourself more, value yourself more, value yourself more. Oh, well, why are you putting yourself so much first?
So much first. Hello.
So that could be an interesting call for us to have in the new year.
I like it.
Yeah. Sort of the mixed messages that we get in this game of enlightenment. So that story you just told, how does that does that relate to the Cash App?
Some people are super unconditional in their asking. They're just like, if I gotta beg, I'm gonna beg. I don't have that. For me, it's if I gotta shout at you, I'm gonna shout at you. Which doesn't work, people. It doesn't.
So interesting. Do you see the post about the Cash App? You know, hey, drop your Cash App here. You never know. Do you see that as begging?
No, I don't see it as begging. I just see it as a very IDGAF way of asking. Like, I'm just gonna throw it out there and see what happens.
Mhm.
Whereas we give some thought, there's some consciousness, there's some bigger picture behind our ask, and their ask is simply an ask.
Mhm.
And I feel like that person's willingness to sort of do whatever it takes to get her end result, which is spending time with this other person, as like unconditional asking. Like, I don't care that I'm begging. I don't care that I mean, she might have cared in the greater context because when I put it on social media, she had some feelings about herself.
Well, right.
But in that intimate conversation, she didn't care. Or maybe she didn't see it as begging until I gave it that label.
Till you labeled it begging.
Yeah, maybe she just saw herself asking her person to come spend time with her.
Yeah, it could have just been, that's me being persistent.
Yeah.
Could have been her definition of the behavior.
Absolutely.
For you. And that's where what we were talking about prior to the call, that whole perception is projection. How do we define something? How do you define begging? If I've asked once and the answer is no, I ask a second time, is that begging? How many times does it take? Is tone part of it that makes it begging? Is it just because you know the other person on the other end of the phone's an asshole? You know, and they don't deserve that person's time. What constitutes begging for you versus what constitutes it for me? For me, maybe it would be, and I'm making this up, but maybe I'd have to ask 6 times and there'd have to be a whine in my voice, please, but why can't, maybe that's begging. Whereas for you, it's like I asked it once and the answer was no. I asked a second time, that's begging. So that yeah, I'm pretty clear that for you, yeah, I asked once and no, if I ask a second time, I'm begging. Most people I know wouldn't necessarily define asking a second time as begging. I do think it says a lot about our culture that we are willing to do that when somebody says no, because we are willing to push against somebody else's boundary that they have set.
Yeah.
But that's something we learn as children.
Yeah.
Because how often do parents give in? Oh, I just want to stop hearing you say it, so fine, here's this.
Meanwhile, I'm like, ask me again and you won't have it for a month.
Right. And this is why I don't have kids, because mine would hate me, because that's probably how I would parent.
Yeah. One bird of mine isn't super fond of me right now.
Oh, boundaries. So the begging part I see as a boundary thing. So my question to you on the Cash App post, is there a boundary that crossed or pushed up against for you?
Okay. So here's what's the answer is no.
Okay.
Here's what's sort of been coming to me. There's an airplane in your world. That's new.
Oh, it's a motorcycle.
Oh, okay. It translated as airplane. Damn, it really did leave.
So is it?
Oh, there's an energy with it.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't always have the words for why the energy makes me like this. Like, it took me, this is going to seem off topic, but it's not. It took me years to understand why Beyonce made me uncomfortable every time she talked. I thought I didn't like her, but it turned out I just didn't like her interviews. Then she fired her dad, did an interview with Oprah, and I was like, Beyonce, feeling you these days. And I thought it was like she turned 30. The same thing happened with Gabrielle Union. It turned out they were being fake before. Beyonce had to really like tone down herself
Mm-hmm.
under her dad's like guidance or whatever. And then once she fired him, she was just like feeling kind of fancy free.
Yeah, here's who I am.
And Gabrielle Union, my impression of her was always that she's a bitch.
Mm-hmm.
That impression hasn't really changed, but
But now you like her, bitchy?
I like it. But the difference is, and she talks about this again in an interview with Oprah. Oprah apparently brings out the best in people. About how she was a mean girl on purpose as like a defense mechanism.
Oh.
And then she hired her life coach and got her shit together. And now she just whips out her inner bitch when she needs to. Like when, she needs to, when you're, how's it Debbie Ford put it? You're 6 months behind and so many thousands of dollars over budget on your new house remodel. Then
Yeah.
might be good to be a bitch.
Yeah, it might be good to put your boot up your contractor's ass.
Right.
Yeah.
And so there's some energy to this Cash App thing that's going around that is ugh, to me.
It feels more contracting than expansive.
Yes. Yeah. And I don't have exact words for what it is, but
Yeah.
I am bumping up against something, but not a boundary.
Yeah, got it.
Energetic something about it.
Yeah. And that makes sense. And that's why part of it's like the wording, when you send it, it was just like, what? And I think because of the experience you and I have had in the Infinite Receiving group, because of the work you and I have done for ourselves and, with other coaches and that kind of thing, there's a different understanding, not good or bad, even though I will be honest, I do put judgment on it of good or bad, that not everyone has been exposed to and experienced. So I look at it as how Bear explains it to me. Those individuals who learned hula or huna from Uncle George,
Mm-hmm.
even though they learned it directly from the source, the way they practice it is still a copy.
Mm-hmm.
And then they teach someone else. And then it's a copy of a copy.
Yeah.
And we've all, I'd say mimeographs, but not hardly anybody listening to this probably going to know what the hell a mimeograph is.
Let us get our dictionaries out. Google.
Right? Xerox, your copy. So I've got a copy that somebody gave me of a copy that they had. And then I go make a copy and send it to Lila. And Lila's like, this is awesome. Now I have to make a copy for my friend, Janice. And so Lila makes a copy. And all of a sudden, there's like little weird flecks on the paper. And some of the words are hard to read. And it's a watered down version.
Reiki today? Oh, my bad. This is my judgment coming out.
Yeah, exactly. So, so I kind of see the whole, let's just put our Cash App link without the thought that you're talking about, without the, hey, let's bless each other, because there's just an energy when we're giving and receiving. It's just a, hey, drop your Cash App. It's like a copy of a copy. Mm-hmm. It's is how I see it. If I look at it from the standpoint of everyone is doing the best they can with the tools they have at the time, is it a bad thing that they put it out there? My concern is it waters down that energetic expansion, blessing side of it that we have seen other people bring to that same activity, if you will. But even that is a judgment.
Yeah.
So that'll be something I get to work on, is let go of the judgment. Simply allow people to be who they are, and I get to choose whether I participate or not. But I will tell you that, and I'm going to use but instead of and, but I will tell you I had that same kind of reaction to the verbiage, the way they did it. It was like,
what? Merry Christmas.
And my assumption is that the people seeing that, because they aren't in that blessing it forward community and mindset, there's my assumption. So this was the other piece of it for me. My assumption is they'd all send out $1, but they'd want 20 back. Was right. A judgment I put on it reading it. That's all about me. That isn't about the person who posted it. So that's a piece I get to look at.
That's a very interesting point of view as well.
Mm-hmm. I have an inner judgy girl, just so you people know.
Oh my gosh. I have an outer judgy girl, but she's really funny, so people forgive her.
Yeah. Well, anybody who was bipedal, those of us who are human beings, I was going to say two-legged, but I have friends who only have one, and so it's like they're not excluded from this.
Still two-legged, even if they're... Anyway, go on.
But yeah, two-legged. Those of us who are two-legged, it's what we do. We constantly assess. You can call it assessment if you want, but it's judgment. If I'm like, oh my God, Lila, that red shirt is really great on you. That's still judgment, right?
Yeah. So now the ego's happy.
Yeah. Oh my God, Lila, that red color, horrible on you. Judgment.
Oh, now the ego's sad.
Oh, now the ego says, screw you. I like my red shirt. Should I wear this ever again? Yeah. Both are judgment.
Yeah.
And they have nothing to do with Lila or her red shirt. So we're all judges. So if you think, oh, I'm not judgmental, bullshit. I'm going to call you on it right now because you got 2 legs and that's just what we do. But it's what we do with it. If we recognize, oh, that's me expecting somebody to be like me, so I can let that go. Or just recognize it for what it is. It's judgment. And stop judging yourself for being judgy.
I like the way you put that. That's me expecting somebody to be like me. I don't know if I expect people to be like me, but I definitely have boxes. Mostly for my ex-husband. Here's your dad box. Get in there.
Yeah.
I burned the husband boxes.
Yeah.
Obviously, not an appropriate box for him.
That's a different conversation for a different day because I'd argue that point. Well, and the judgy piece, we get to recognize when we're having judgments and then choose to let them go or not. My guess is you had a if not a box, a way of defining if you're going to do the Cash App train.
Yeah.
It should look like X. Yeah. If you want to be expansive, if you want to be, enlightened and all that other, fancy shit. If this is a spiritual exchange, but for some people, that's not where they're at. It's just a, hey, you need some cash? Just drop your app.
Yeah.
So.
Very interesting.
It's a great place to look at what comes up, right?
Yeah.
And it's interesting that you and I kind of had similar reactions to it. For me, a lot of it was the verbiage. There just was there was something that was missing.
Yeah.
It's kind of like, how come my cookies, I use the same recipe, taste different than your cookies? I was pissed off when I was making them and you're all happy and full of love and crap. There's a piece missing, that secret ingredient, if you will, when I read it. For me too. So there's definitely either something you and I need to be there when we read those for us to feel called to participate and embrace.
Mm-hmm.
Could be a good thing, could be a bad thing.
Yeah, I can see that for sure.
Is it recap time?
Hmm?
Do you feel complete with that?
Yes.
Do we want to recap?
Do we wanna? I think we wanna, even though we're a little over. I think it's okay.
Yeah.
I think the people will forgive us.
And they'll either tune in or they won't, and we will happily recap.
Exactly. So what was your biggest ask this year?
I'd say the biggest in that it was the most, brought up the most stuff for me, because for me that's the biggest. It doesn't have to do with the monetary value. The biggest, there are 3 that immediately come to mind. When we were looking for a place to live, less than what we were going to be paying on renewing our place. Most of the people that are in my area would be like, oh, you're never going to find anything like that, and you should be able to afford more, and there's just an attitude sometimes. And so my reaching out into my community and saying, hey, we're looking for a place. Anybody know somebody who's renting? Mother-in-law cottage, casita, condo, whatever. There was a little bit of a challenge there for me. So that one was a big deal. Because I assumed there'd be some judgment, or that somebody'd send me, and this did happen, people sent me ones that were well out of our budget. And I had to be like, that's really awesome, thanks. We're actually looking to stay under. And that was a challenge because I assumed that there'd be judgment on their part.
Mm-hmm.
The putting it out there that, hey, I'm doing this year of ask, and to get comfortable with asking, if you could drop a little bit, here's my link. Sort of a little social experiment to get out of my own way. That one was uncomfortable because it wasn't, had it just been a, let's bless each other and send it forward. If, you could use some extra Christmas cash, drop your Cash App. It was just send me money. So that was uncomfortable and really forced me to kind of push a bit. And then this last one was putting the boots out there. Because I posted it and kind of wanted to run away, but then somebody freaking commented. It's mostly kidding, you guys, but kind of not, but kind of mostly, So those were the 3 that for me were the biggest, because they pushed me to take actions that I would normally have been uncomfortable with and just not done because I was uncomfortable. So those, I think, were my biggest in that respect. Yeah.
For me, it was any ask that related to money.
Mm-hmm.
So posting the same thing, that I'm working on getting comfortable with asking for money. So get me money. That one, and the unexpected income prayer, leading to being tithed to, sometimes in the triple digits, and going, learning to receive. We were actually joking that the lotto was 70 million there, caps out at 70 million, and she's like, so get ready for $7 million tithe. And I was like, okay. Don't give it all away.
Holy crap.
Right. I mean, can you imagine that PayPal transaction?
Well, they would freeze your account, for one.
I'd be okay with that, but I would still be like,
even
it's a lot of zeros.
10% of the 10%, which I think is 1%, but math. How many of us wouldn't have our jaw drop to get 700,000?
I would really be like,
or 10% of the 10% and get 70,000.
I'd still be like, it's a lot of zeros.
I'd be like, did you think that one of those was a little decimal point? But even that.
You just mean this many zeros?
7,000.
Yeah.
Frick, how many of us would freak out at 700 just because? Yeah, wasn't that your number last week?
Yeah, 700 is the number.
So do you feel more comfortable now than you did when we started asking for money and receiving those tithes with tithes? I don't know why that word's hard. Tithes with multiple zeros?
I'm good up to about $600, and then I'm like, because I got an even bigger tithe recently. It was really funny. I went cyber shopping. Mm-hmm. I went cyber crazy, cyber weekend. Mostly on myself. I'm very proud. And then I was like, oh, poor bank account. You look sad. I'm sorry. I'm sorry I eviscerated you. And then like, here comes this tithe that had me like, it's more than the last one. I knew enough not to be like, you need that front number. But I was still like, okay. And then she was like, I owe you a Christmas present or a birthday present. And I was like, I literally typed like, I want to tell you no, you don't. And I'm aware that you are here to make me comfortable receiving. So I'm just going to say thank you. Mm-hmm. It was literally, yeah. Because I'm just like, yeah. So it's been fun, with all the sarcasm in the world. And I'm really grateful, and I'm looking forward to like how that expands.
So I have a question for you.
Yes.
Are you
grateful?
Yeah. Because you said it as a question. I'm really grateful.
I'm like, is that the word that I'm looking for?
Is it the word you're looking for?
Honored is the word that comes up.
Thank you.
You are welcome. So it's still super uncomfortable, and there's a hug with it, because I don't have better phrasing for it. Mm-hmm. It's like, it's okay. You're just growing. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And maybe that humbled, honored feeling is okay.
Totally. I'm good with it.
Because that's different than undeserving, right?
Yeah. For sure. Yeah, there's none of that. There's just like, even aside from the year ask, just looking back at my last year, like where my life is now versus where, like, the whole of my life. My finances, yes, but like our house and my body and my relationships and my energy, like the whole thing is, and this is what I knew is available. And so there's no undeserving, but there's definitely joy, bliss, yay in there. So yeah.
And what I just got is, and is it safe to receive it?
The sticker store has ruined me. Have you seen that cat that says yeah and it's doing this dance?
No.
Okay, I'll send it to you later, but that's what that's what I thought. And there's a sound bite that goes with it that I'll probably never find, but it's like, yeah.
Good.
Yeah.
That is a shift.
It's huge. Yeah.
So when I look at you and I see, so what did I see that was a big thing with you through our journey this year? I think that's a big thing, is you've become much more okay. It's safe to receive. It's not going to go away unless I choose to disperse those funds then. It's not, there isn't this constriction of it's going to be taken from me that shows up in the same way or frequency as it used to. So I think you've made my personal observance is that you've made big strides there.
Thanks.
You're welcome.
That's really yummy. I see with you less reliance on your physical ability to do things and more awareness that, like, oh, my crew can handle things.
Still kind of blows my mind. I think if I had, and thank you for recognizing that, because that has been a load off. It feels good to not feel like I have to do it all alone, you know? I think if I had one thing I wanted to really put focus on this next year around all of this kind of the asking and all of that is exactly that, to really deepen that piece of it, that reliance on them. Not that I'm not willing to take action, obviously, but to be more open to the guidance, to utilize their strengths and mine.
Yeah.
And have them working together, have us work together as a team, as well as, send them off to do what they need to do because this is your job, not mine. I think deepening that on a lot of levels for me is going to be huge this year. So thank you for acknowledging that.
Absolutely. The Abraham Hicks pre-paving is what comes to mind.
Okay.
Of like, I'm getting my crew to be like, okay, so here's what we're creating. Okay, you go do the things, and then I'll do the things that I am required to do. Mm-hmm. And it's a vastly different energy than I am going to make the things happen.
That's adrenal burning bullshit.
Yeah. That might have been one of the blessings from depression. I could not do the things. I just couldn't. I'm like, all right, y'all, need a place to live. Make it happen.
Wow. Yeah. Yeah.
I will be focused on getting more comfortable asking intimately I've gotten pretty good at like slapping things up on my Facebook timeline and be like, who wants to buy me some Oracle cards? Oh my God, you bought me Oracle cards.
You can post it, if you're like me, you can post it and run away, right?
But I've noticed that even though I said earlier, most of the time I'm fairly certain Honey's gonna say yes, I'm still like, could you, when I'm asking him things, which is funny to me. So I'm going to be working on getting more comfortable with that.
Nice.
Yeah.
The intimate ask.
What was the most fun thing asking has created for you?
I have a couch.
I love the couch.
I have a couch that my ass doesn't sink to the floor in because of a broken spring. I have a couch that supports my butt and my back. And I got a free blender with it.
Yes, I forgot about the blender.
Yeah. The blender's been great. I made some phenomenal salsa in it the other day. Yeah. It's, I'd say that was what was fun. The end result was fun because yay couch and yay blender. And the process itself of putting it out there that I want a couch. When my friend was like, well, make me an offer. It's like, yeah, it's not really in our budget. So, go sell it. And then when she came back to me and said, hey, do you still want a couch? Come pick it up. To recognize some of the stuff that showed up. It's like, oh, but she was trying to sell it. I really should give her some money, blah, blah, blah. Well, she knows that it wasn't in our budget to buy a couch at that point in time. That wasn't where we were putting our money. And so there was this, oh, I should be paying for this. So there was a lot of dialogue, which is part of what makes this fun, is that's a place there where I get to start shifting some of those thought patterns, some of the beliefs, what about that is, and simply enjoy the couch, which I'm sitting on right now. So that was fun. Especially using that freaking blender. I'm so happy to have a blender again.
I love it.
Yeah. What about you?
Money. As uncomfortable as it was, it has been delicious to be able to just be like, oh, we're going out to dinner. Oh, your birthday's here? Oh, okay, well, I'm going to buy 7 theater tickets and I'm going to send you and a bunch of friends to the movies to see the new Spider-Man movie because I am sure at some point I will own private islands and people. However, for me, not having to worry, period. Like, the bills can be on auto, the rent is there, it's already there, and I haven't gotten paid for the end of the month yet. That is like, yay. I've been getting here for 20 years.
Sometimes the journey is a long one and bumpy and little circuitous versus a straight line. Well, and when you talk about those things, I think from a fun aspect in that respect is when we've talked about the tithing piece and what pops up for me as possibility. I may not be at a point where I'm doing a full 10%, but looking at what can I do
Yeah.
It's kind of like some of those infinite receiving exercises that Maru posts, you know, write a note on a dollar bill and shove it on a shelf in a store for somebody to magically find, you know, stuff like that. It's that aspect of it, having those moments this year where it has felt expansive, even if what's in my bank account doesn't necessarily feel like I'm Warren Buffett, you know, having that feeling of expansion. When you're talking fun in that respect, there's been a lot more moments of playfulness with money, no matter the money situation this year than there has been in the last year prior to in 20, what year is this? In 2017. So it's because that was a little bit more of a financially challenging year.
Yeah.
So that's been a lot more fun. And I think because of that, the things that have come about, because there's always a trickle down effect. If you have a difficult financial year, there's always stuff that then shows up that needs to be cleaned up. Mm-hmm. So we've been in the cleanup phase, and I don't always find that fun because of the other fun pieces around the money. Those have been less stressful, and it's just like, okay, apparently that's going to be something I need to deal with. Mm-hmm. And what do we need to do to take care of it? Because over here we're having fun. So that's been something from this journey as far as the financial monetary side goes, has been a huge help to be in this process.
I love it.
Yeah. And they need to go take care of this. Go fix this.
Go. Off you go. That could be another conversation too.
Yeah.
Of like how I personally turned my finances around.
I think that would be a really great one, because I would imagine there are a lot of people who could use the support, could use the ideas, and especially given your hashtag life after depression.
Yeah.
I know from my own personal experience that when you're dealing with the depression, to do all the things that you're supposed to do to go make the financial changes feel really freaking overwhelming. Yeah. And you have such a beautiful perspective being on this side of it now, but having gone through it and recently gone through it. I think that would be a huge help for a lot of people out there.
I shall. We've been at this for a good minute.
Yes, almost an hour.
Do we have any other like juicy takeaways from the year?
I'm going to pull on what you were saying about Beyonce and Gabrielle.
Yeah.
Is stop hiding. Ooh. It's when we hide, when we dim who we are, when we live because of and ask because of how other people say we should. One, we rob other people of really seeing us. And two, life doesn't feel as juicy. So ask big. Give yourself permission. I think that's the big thing. Give yourself permission to play full out. Doesn't matter if it's in the asking realm, in the money realm, in the relationships realm. Give yourself permission to play full out.
I agree, and I like completely love that.
I think that's going to be my theme for this whole year.
Ew. Yum.
Yeah.
How that unfolds.
Kind of got a little stuck right here, so.
Oh. My biggest is baby steps.
Yeah.
Keep showing up is how it occurred in my brain, but this year was a lot more relaxed than last year for me in terms of asking. I wasn't asking every single day. And in the last 2 years, I'm going to say, I have created a new car and a new home and financial stability, and asking might have been a part of it. However, it was the baby steps. I didn't start out with, "Hey, will you give me a house?" I started out with, "Can I have a bag?"
Yeah, you can hold the door for me. Little stuff.
Will you pass me the thing that divides our groceries in the store, please?
Right?
I started out with the tiny things, and I am still stretching and still growing and still expanding. So who knows where we'll be in a year.
Right?
On a beach in Costa Rica.
I was going to say, super comfy with all sorts of zeros at the end of that number.
All sorts of zeros.
And I like how you put it, keep showing up. Keep showing up. And I think, I realize this has been about asking, not about the journey through depression. However, I think they go hand in hand, is that keep showing up. Give yourself the permission to feel how you feel. I think those two themes go very much together. Baby steps, especially on those days where a great big ass step feels overwhelming. Give yourself permission to take the baby step and celebrate the fuck out of it.
Absolutely. It's interesting that you bring up the depression piece again. I couldn't ask like I have asked. I have had to ask because orphaned only supermom child with 3 kiddos. I have had to ask. I dropped my daughter and my middle child off at the first day of school. Their first day of school. They were starting school late, with no uniform and no school supplies. And I got in my car and I sobbed because I had all of this internal dialogue about what a horrible mom I was. None of which is true. But I had to do so much healing before I could get to, "Hey, can I have a bag? I have a bag." Do you know anybody who is giving away a car? I'm going to digress a tiny bit. So Naomi's couch was the same process as my car. So I'm curious about your next couch. Even though
I already have visions of my next couch.
But I went through I want a car, I'm getting a new car, I don't care what it takes. How much would a car payment be? How much could I fit in my budget? What is that gonna take? I don't want a car payment. Fuck it, I'm just gonna take the bus. Here's your car. And Naomi was, "I want a couch. I hate this couch. We need a new couch. Where's the new couch? I'm gonna buy a couch. I'm gonna ask for a couch. Oh, I don't want to buy a couch."
I don't want to pay for a couch. And I realize as you're saying some of that, is I think I had this energy of I'm just going to wait till we move into a new place. But when we re-signed the lease here, there became this, oh, hell no, I'm not sitting on this motherfucker for another year. Pardon my French, you guys, but I'm sorry, that couch is ridiculous.
Yeah.
We aren't even able to give it away. It's still sitting in the dining room and needs to be gone.
Oh.
So
some DIYer wants it.
That's where this, you decided I'm just going to take the bus because I'm not going to have car payment. It's making that decision, being concrete about I'm over this, and I'm unwilling. I love your. I'm unavailable for. I'm unavailable for a broken down couch that kills my back and has me practically sitting on the floor because the spring is broken. So what are you unwilling? What are you unavailable for? And yeah, when you're dealing with depression, sometimes the ask is, can someone please give me the strength to get out of bed today? Sometimes that's your ask.
Yeah. Mine was, why am I still here?
Oh, yeah.
And then I was like, oh, there are reasons. Okay, I'm up.
Yeah. Yeah. So please know, if you have been watching this and you are in that space, one, there's zero expectation of anybody watching this asking anything. That's always choice. And if you are struggling with depression, whatever the root cause is, because there's so many root causes to depression, be gentle with yourself. Don't expect yourself to go asking for big things if that's where you're at.
And big for you might actually be help.
Yeah.
Big for you might actually be, can you make me dinner because I can't?
Yeah.
Big for you might actually be, do you know a good therapist?
Yeah.
All of that is phenomenal asking.
Yeah. And feels ginormous at the time.
Yeah.
So give yourself some kudos and credit. Please.
Yes.
That's my ask of you. Because, yeah, that can feel really big. And in that moment, it is really big.
Yep.
Baby steps.
Baby steps.
Tons of love.
And thank you for playing with us this year. We don't know what we're doing next year.
No. We'll talk. We'll talk about it. We'll talk amongst ourselves. We'll let you know.
See you. Bye, everybody.